It looks like we're live. Hi, Substack friends. I am brand new to Substack. I've been on for, I think 2 weeks. Actually, yeah, I think 2 weeks. So if you're here, please say hi in the chat so that I can see you. Please bear with me if I do weird stuff. Oh, thank you. Thank you. Hi, Melly. Melly, I hope I'm saying your name right. Please bear with me there's no way to like test the chat without going live, right? You just have to go live to test the chat, or to test the live. So bear with me on the tech, but I'm so happy to be here. I'm gonna just do one quick thing and see if I can make myself bigger so that I don't have to look at myself tiny. Okay. So the way that I do these, I usually go live inside a Zoom. But the way that I like to do these is to let this be a conversation. So I have lots that I can share, but especially if you're live, please engage. Let me know if something doesn't make sense. Let me know if something does make sense. Let me know if you have any questions, insights, examples that you want to share, or again, questions about examples. I think the value of joining me live is that you get to be part of the conversation. Like I said, I can like talk about this forever. But what I hope to involve you in is a conversation. So let this work for you. Also, if you're live, I am giving away a free mini coaching session. So if you're live, just enter me in the chat if you'd like to be entered. And I will do that drawing later this afternoon or tomorrow. So if we don't know each other, and many of you are new to me, hi, I'm Laura Livingston. I'm a business and mindset coach, and I help my clients to grow and scale their businesses, usually to six and multi-six figures. I've had several clients reach the 7-figure mark as well, and beyond. And the way that I like to work with my clients, I work all one-on-one. I really just think that, first off, that's what I'm the best at and what helps my clients get the most results. It's what I love the most as well. But I think something to know about sort of how I approach my work is that I'm really good at helping you customize your business to you. So I have a background in both the strategy side and the mindset side. So I definitely coach clients around both of those. And we're going to talk about that again a little bit today. Today's topic is all strategy and mindset. It's a really nice blend of the two. And I'm very big on you finding your way to success, and so that your business creates something that really truly financially supports you and is also fulfilling, so that you can have the life that you want. Okay, that's a quick little about me. I'll keep talking a little bit more about myself as we go, but what are we talking about today? So today's topic is the simple strategy that makes sales faster and easier, and the mindset that helps you stick with it. So if you have any, I'm going to give you a little preface before I tell you. I don't want to tease it out too much because that's just not how I work, but I do want to give you a little preface for what I'm talking about. And that is this. This is a really, literally, I'm going to say the title again, the simple strategy that makes sales faster and easier. It is so simple. This is not new. You've probably heard it before. And it's actually, I don't know. I come from the business world and consulting, and so I don't always align exactly to a lot of the online business advice and just sort of the typical messaging that you hear out in the world. Usually, I'm like, yeah, okay, but yes, and let's make sure we understand it from a nuanced perspective and understand how to apply it. But what I'm going to talk about today. If you have any guesses, feel free to drop that in the chat. But what I'm going to talk about today is something that is out there in the ethers. Some people, not everybody, but some people are talking about this. And I think I've been in business for coming up on 9 years. I'm still in the 8, but I'm almost at 9. So pre-pandemic, I started my business. I have lots of experience, both pre, during, and post-pandemic. And I think this advice has actually stood the test of time, at least in my tenure running a business online, and it very much applies and makes good sense as well back in my consulting days. So it's one of the few things that I do actually agree with, and the reason it's so simple, and the reason I'm dedicating all of today, like I will stay here for 30, 40, 50 minutes to talk about this one simple thing. The reason the reason that I think it's so important and why it works, and the reason why I think it's so hard for so many people to execute on, is that it is honestly, it's so simple that it seems wrong, right? Like from a mindset perspective, what we know about human behavior and psychology is our brains do not think that the simplest answer is the right answer, right? That's just not our brain. That's not what our brain does. That's not how our brains work. And that's okay. We're not going to blame the brain. We just need to work with it, right? But it is so simple, and it seems overly simple. And I think there's a bug in here. I think where most people get tripped up is not that they don't understand it logically. It's that when we're in something in our business, it's really hard to execute on this principle, this strategy, because it's so simple. We just assume that we're doing it, honestly, in so many ways. Okay, I don't want to tease this out too much. So it's super, super simple. It is a strategy, but when I say strategy today, what I'm talking about is like a lot of times what I'll help my clients do is to choose a marketing strategy, right? This is not a marketing strategy. This is a strategy that serves any marketing strategy or platform or any offer or any business model that you have. This is a strategy that really holds hands nicely with all the other core elements of your business. It's a strategy for how to go to business. Okay. It's an approach. And yeah, I'm just checking my notes. I just want to make sure I cover all of these things. Again, the other thing I want you to hear is it's not so much that this is going to be something new necessarily, concept. It's more, how can we apply it? This is something that I'm actually always looking at within my clients. I'm saying this to them a lot. I need to hear this sometimes from my coach as well. So it's more in the application and the nuance than the actual high level, what it is. Okay. I'm just going to tell you what it is, and then we'll dive into all the details. The simple strategy that makes sales faster and easier, it's usually hard to execute on from a mindset perspective, is this. We typically do not stick with things long enough. So sticking with it long enough, or another way to say this is we need to give it the time it needs to work, to create a result, to create traction, right? Whatever the thing is you're doing. And so this applies to so many things. It doesn't exactly apply to everything. It applies to if you're launching a new offer. It applies if you are like, I'll use myself as an example today. Like I am 2 weeks into Substack, right? I'm using this strategy as I start growing on Substack. And I'll talk about that a little bit, but it can be about a new platform. It can be about a new offer. It doesn't have to be something new in your business that you're executing. It can be, last year I host a networking event once a month where people come in. We do a little small group. I break people out into small groups. You can network, you create clients, you create contacts, referrals, all collaborations, all the things. And I've been doing that. I've been offering that free for 3.5 years. And when I started, for the first few years, I did that twice. We met twice a month. And last year I moved that back to once a month for many, many reasons. But when I made that change, right, that one tiny, really honestly quite a small change when it comes down to it. But even as I made that change, I gave myself time to stick with that change long enough before I 100% landed on that change. Okay. I'm going to dive into the details, but this is where I think we get stuck. So what you've probably heard online before is the 90-day rule, or giving it 90 days. And I think this is also, again, this is something I agree with 100%. I definitely think when we make any kind of change, big or small, and so much of business, I think what I don't hear enough about in the online space is, what I hear a lot about is like new stuff, change, launching something, shifting. What I don't hear a lot about is like taking something that's been working and how you shift and refine it, micro changes over time to make it keep working, to make sure it's still relevant for the current industry, to make things continue to sell. That's what I am doing with most of my clients once they get, whatever problem we're trying to solve. Once we solve that problem, a new offer, a new platform, whatever, like that's the maintenance mode and the ongoing running of a business. we aren't changing offers. We aren't changing platforms all the time. We aren't doing all these big capital C changes, right? We're micro shifts. We're making changes and iterations as we go, slowly, as the business is asking for it based on the data. And so what I think we get confused by so often is like, we're not talking about that refinement. We're not talking about ongoing experimentation and understanding what the data is telling you. So you know what to, I always say, like, we need to know what to change in the business and what to like keep our hands off and please don't touch, right? So back to this 90-day rule. I want to talk a little bit about what that means and what that doesn't mean, because I do think this concept is widely known, and also like, if you haven't heard it, you're not crazy. Sorry, my computer did a weird thing. Okay, you guys can hear me. I'm assuming you can hear me. Okay, Millie, yes. Okay, nice to meet you. I think I answered your question earlier. But the 90-day rule is, I think, misunderstood. So let's talk a little bit about what the 90-day rule is, right? If we're going to give something, like, again, I'll use a big change as a good example to start. And then I have some other examples that I want to share. So if we're going to give something 90 days, right? Something new, we want to give it 90 days. But I think what so many people think that means is do or die. Like, this shit has 90 days, and if it doesn't work, I'm out. It doesn't work, and then I have to try something else, right? I just do not agree with that. And I think that just feeds into the ways that our brains work, where we want to look at everything as black and white, either or, right? It's either going to work or it's not. And if it doesn't, then after 90 days, I'm out and it's done. It's not do or die, all or nothing 90 days, 90 days to see if it works. That's not how I see the 90-day rule actually working well. 90 days is really, you're going to give it 90 days until you take the next step. And we can talk about what that next step is, right? That next step might be 90 days. I didn't really enjoy it. I'm out. Like, even if it worked, I didn't love it. This isn't something I can sustain long-term. This doesn't make sense for my business in the long run. I'm not going to do it. Then you're making a good decision at the end of those 90 days based on real data, right? Like, you experimented for you, and it's just not how you want to do it, right? Or 90 days, we always think about it from a practical strategy and sales perspective. 90 days, did it sell? 90 days, did it accomplish what I wanted it to accomplish? No, please no. It's really 90 days for a couple of things. So for example, you could say in 90 days, here's some things that you might expect to happen. 90 days to make it work, right? You may absolutely have real traction and sales after 90 days of this new change, right? Okay, great. It works externally. It works to bring in clients. That is good, proper data that you now know, okay, do we want to keep executing the way we have? Do we want to make some changes? But in general, this is resonating with our people. It's bringing in sales. So what do we want to do next, right? So even if it's working, I always say after 90 days, take a minute, 90-ish days, right? Depending on what you're launching. It needs to make sense for your business. But as a general rule, it's just a helpful mile marker. So that's one thing that you might find after 90 days. And I think that's the only one anybody ever talks about, right? That's the do or die. Okay. But it also may just take 90 days to start working, right? You may put a new offer out, let's say, and you get 1 or 2 sales, or you get, depends if this is like a big ticket, if it's a smaller ticket offer, if you've got a course or a membership or something small, maybe we want to have more than just a few sales. But point being, whatever this is for you and your business, we want to see after 90 days, we might at the end of 90 days see that it works when I get sales, right? We might see that it's starting to work. Okay, it's not selling at the rate that some other offer is. It's not, it's not working exactly the way it's not the final end result that I want, but it's moving. It's moving in the right direction. Some things are working. Great. That's where you can take that 90-day data and say, okay, we've been doing this for 90 days. What is the data telling us? Besides the few sales that are coming in, or whatever the thing is, right? It's starting to work. You're getting some engagement. You're getting some traction, right? I'm new to Squarespace, to Substack. Right? 90 days might be great. How many followers do I have? How is that tracking? What are people coming in from? Are they coming in from my existing audience? Are they coming from new? Where are the new people coming from? Is it when I post on Notes? Is it when I do these live? Right? Those are the kinds of things that I can start to evaluate now after 2 weeks, sure. But to get real data to understand what's really happening, I just need more data, right? And so that's why 90 days is a good number. So you might have it work, you might have it start to work, you might have it start to create traction, right? So maybe the start to work is some sales. Traction is like maybe one step behind that, which is like things are moving, right? Maybe I don't make any sales off of people I meet on Substack in the next 90 days, but I have engagement, I have subscribers, I have people responding to my articles, what have you, right? That can start to help me see, okay, I'm creating some traction here. Also, let's use the new offer as an example. Let's say you've been in business for 5 years and you're launching a new offer. One of my clients a couple years ago, she had been in business. I want to say I'll just use her as an example. She had been in business, I want to say 5-ish years. And in that 5 years, she had I don't want to share too much. I want to maintain privacy, but in that 5 years, she had a one-to-one business model. I'll just keep it simple. And then after that 5 years, she was like, I want to keep my one-on-one. I still love this. And I really want to offer a group program. And so we set out to do that. But when she launched that group program for the first time, first off, we spent a lot of time pre-launch period starting to seed that because her people know her for one-on-one, right? But second, and that's a whole nother conversation, we can talk about launches and how valuable the time before that promotional period. That's actually way more important than or maybe just as important as the actual 1, 2, 3 weeks that you're promoting something. So we did a lot of work there. I'm happy to come back. If that's helpful, let me know if that would be a helpful conversation. I'm happy to come back and talk more about that. But what we really had to do is to give people time. Now, she wasn't promoting this for 90 days, but to give people time to see her as a person that has a group, right? Because her people, she had a loyal audience, she had lots of engagement, she had a full one-on-one practice, she was known for this one-on-one support. And that was great. And also for her to add on a group, her people had to they had to change, right? They had to change their brain. Oh, wait a minute, there's this other option. I could work with you, I wonder if I would want to do that. Would I rather work with you one-on-one, or would I rather work in a group, right? And so giving her audience time to get used to that's new messaging, right? Because she was really promoting one-on-one and promoting the why one-on-one with her, right? So giving people a chance to know about it. I mean, they're not going to, especially a loyal audience, they're not going to shift necessarily in 90 days. But again, 90 days is enough time usually if you're talking about it enough for people to start to go, yeah, okay, right? And so sometimes, how do we know if our audience after 90 days knows about it? It's like going back and looking at, are people, commenting on those posts? Are people asking questions about it? Are people, even if you're not selling, are people booking calls, sales calls? And then what questions are they asking? Do they understand, right, what this offer is, why it might serve them, if it fits their situation, right? Do they understand? What's the data coming in? What are the people telling us, either directly or indirectly with their behavior, that can let us know if this is something we want to do? Or sorry, not if this is something we want to do. That can let us know if they're getting it, right? And so if they're getting it, that's data. And then we can take that after 90 days of data and start to go, okay, they're getting it here, but they're not getting it here. Or I'll use another example. I typically periodically will run ads to a live masterclass. So I'll run ads. People will sign up. They'll come live to my masterclass. When I'm doing that with a super, super cold audience, one of the things I'm always paying attention to is, what are the kinds of questions and engagement that I'm getting in that masterclass? Are they asking questions that really aren't relevant and aren't what we're talking about in the masterclass? If they are, especially more than one, right? I need to look at the part of the funnel that came before that and see who is it that I'm attracting. Is there a better wording that I could put in my ads to make sure that the right people are coming in to help them solve this particular problem? Does that make sense? So I'll give you an example. One of the classes I teach sometimes is on offers. So do they have an offer problem? Is really like the question. We want them to come to that class with like, yeah, my offers are keeping me up at night. I just keep changing them all the time. Or I just feel like when I talk about it, something still isn't there for me. Like I'm still just not talking about it in a way that other people get it. How can I or I'm not sort of all the way decided on this, right? Whatever their problem is with their offer, I want the people out there who are clicking on my ad, I want them to have that problem, right? Because that's the only problem we're solving in that masterclass. I can help them solve other problems, but that's the focal point there. And so if they're coming in with a different thing, oh, I thought you were going to help me grow my audience, right? I thought you were going to help me learn to do better sales calls. I thought you were going to help me learn to take what I've built that's solid and scale it from here, right? That's not the problem I'm solving in that moment, right? And so I want to make sure that one-to-one relationship that is very clear and happening. Are the right people coming in? Do they know what their problem is? And are they seeing that masterclass will help them start to solve that problem? So that's another example of just like getting enough data. I have one more. Let me know if this is resonating. Let's see. Oh, I alluded to this earlier, but I think this is also really, really important. By the way, if you don't know me, so I live on Roatan, Honduras. This is a Caribbean island. We're East Coast. We're just off the coast of Central America, of Honduras. I know it's hot. I feel like it's hot everywhere in the world right now, but it is so hot right here, at least Northern Hemisphere. So you're going to see me continue to turn up my air today. I didn't cool. I normally cool off my room, my office, before I come in here, and I forgot. So anyway, so when we're testing things out, when we're doing the 90-day rule, right? Again, I'm just going to quickly review things that might happen at the end of 90 days. It might work, right? It might generate sales. I feel like that's usually what we want it to do. But again, we need to know what we're asking it to do. It might work. It might start to work. It might start to create traction. It might start to get your audience aware of, oh yeah, I see that she's offering this now. I see that he's offering this. I see that they're offering this now. I see that this is a thing they do. You're starting to be known for that new thing. And then it also, after 90 days, might give you enough data. It will usually give you enough data to be able to figure out what refinements you need to make next, or if there's any other decisions that you need to make. Not, is it do or die? Not, is it going to work? Is it not? And then finally, the other thing you can do after 90 days, and I think this is just critical for anything that you do, is test it out for your enjoyment. Test it out for your enjoyment. So much of the work that I do, one of my guiding principles in business is you can make money and you can also be fulfilled in your work. When I started my business, I had spent 18 years in a corporate career doing work that I was really intellectually and academically interested in. It was a great fit for my brain, but I outgrew it. It was not a great fit for the way that I like to do work. I was probably in my zone of excellence, not my zone of genius, if you're familiar with Gay Hendricks' work. And so that enjoyment, over time, just decreased. And when I started this business, I really realized, I was working with a coach before I started, and I realized that I had a belief going into my last career. And also, it's important to know that when I left my corporate career, I was single. I've been single my whole life. I'm in a long-term relationship, but we're not married. And so I was single, one income, responsible for supporting myself and my cats. And I was living in San Francisco, where the rent is crazy. And so I realized I had a belief that I could either go out and make enough money to support myself, independent woman, or I could do work that I loved. And I did not see those two going together. And so much of my work for myself and in my business, and the really like, I don't know, like, I guess I, in some ways, like set out to prove myself wrong, right? No, damn it, we can have both. But so much of the work I'm doing with my clients is to help them create both. I actually think that's what we want. We want both. So in the 90 days process, at the end of the 90 days-ish, that's also a really good opportunity for you to help decide, do I want to continue? Like, that can be a do or die, like, but it's not because does it work or not? Like, it's not about the business and the strategy and the sales. It's about, how do you feel? And is this something you want to execute on? Continue to execute on, with a couple of caveats that, like, when we start anything new, it feels clunkier than it will in the future, right? When we still have learning curves, and sometimes it's the hardest phase. But in general, do you want to deliver the thing that you're delivering? Is that enjoyable? Is that how you want to run your business? Whether this is a marketing strategy, a new offer that you want to deliver, a way that you're operating with your team. That's another example. Side note, if you're hiring, like, please give your team at least 90 days to get up to speed on how things work, how you work, what you need. Yes, of course, there's always outliers. And I've definitely, like, known in a week or two, like, that I probably somebody wasn't a good fit for my team. So for sure there are moments like that, but generally they need to onboard themselves. We need to onboard them properly, give them time. 90 days is another good benchmark for that. But again, back to enjoyment. If I'm not enjoying something after 90 days, that's a good indicator that I need to hit the, like, just zoom out button and reevaluate whether this makes sense for me. And if it does make sense for me, what changes do I need to make if something's feeling wonky? Is it just that it's new? Okay, right? But really to evaluate at that point, okay, I liked it this and I didn't like this, but I don't mind, right? Like, so that's just an evaluation point. Again, I think I could do like a whole masterclass on just this one piece. But I highly recommend that when you follow this rule, you really give yourself the opportunity to understand the data and what it's telling you from a business and strategy side, and then from what it's telling you from a fulfillment perspective and how you feel. Because if you don't like it, let me just follow this with the practical. If you don't like it and you don't enjoy it, it's going to be so hard for you to show up for it. Like, it's just going to be so much harder for you to show up for it ongoing, long-term. And what I find is important to say is, for the most part, any strategy, like, works. Any strategy works. Yes, we want to make sure it's aligned to you. Yes, we want to make sure it's aligned to your audience and the way that you work and what your audience need, of course. But generally speaking, so there's definitely misalignments between strategy and people, right? But once that's covered, I think we get confused on, well, this isn't going to work for me because it didn't work in 90 days, right? I didn't make a sale in 90 days, so that didn't work for me. We're out. And I think the ability to stick with it is actually just so much harder on our brains. And so let me just jump into some of the mindset piece here. Okay, first off, I don't know about you, but I definitely have no concept of time anyway since the pandemic. But when we are doing something in the business, it often it feels like it's taking more time than it actually is. I will give you a great example. So let's go back to that client that went from one-on-one to she was continuing the one-on-one, but she added a group. When she was setting out to do that, I think she decided to do this maybe 3 to 6 months before she actually launched the group program, right? And then she started seeding her audience. We did some stuff, like I said, we did some pre-launch stuff. And then during the promotional period, it was like, I think one thing that I think she did before the launch officially launched was she went and reached out to some of her past one-on-one clients that she thought would be a good fit. And she gave them a special offer to get in early because nobody before it even went public, to give them an opportunity to buy first. And so it was shortly after that, right? I maybe think she had started launching it. And I remember she just came to our calls and she was like, why is this not working? like, I have been doing this for so long. Why is this not working? Why have enough people not signed up? And it was literally like 3 days into the launch, right? Like, and I laugh, and she and I laugh, like, this is not about something's wrong with her. But if we just think about time perspective for ourselves versus the time perspective that our audiences are in, right? She'd been working on that shit for 6 months. She was ready to sell that puppy and deliver. Like, she had built the program, she had done the marketing, she had done the sales page, like, she had started talking to people, she'd done all the things, and she was just ready for people to go. But we were at like day 3 of the launch. I don't remember how early it was, but her audience had just heard it 3 days before, right? Or some of her, the people she gave a pre-offer to, maybe they had known about it for a week or 2, right? So just to remember, your audience's timeline is so different from yours. And that's where a lot of times we can get tripped up. And I think that alone is just like the number of times my coach has said this to me so many times. Like, I'll tell her something's a problem or it's not working, quickly enough or whatever. And she will literally just like look at the date and be like, it's August 20th. Right. And we'll just laugh because my head is in September and October. Right. Or August 31st or whatever the thing is. My head is focused almost like I think I'm at the end of the process and I'm in the middle or I'm at the beginning. And I've done that for my clients too. Like, hold on, right? With my one client with the launch, like, I was like, hold on, it's day 3. Like, we got to come back into reality, and our brains just want to go to all the other places. So remembering time, that's one of the I think mindset, time is a thing. Another reason from a mindset perspective that we get sort of tripped up here is we get bored, right? I think entrepreneurship attracts those of us who are wildly creative with innovative ideas. Like, we oftentimes don't have a problem coming up with the great idea and the way to get there. But a lot of times the great idea part is the high and the hit, right? And so when it comes to like not just executing, but like staying in it for 90 days, that's where it can become a little bit of a mind F, right? And so I think macro, this is why we've got to be looking at fulfillment, right? Macro, we want to make sure that what we're doing is something that we want to do, so that micro, we can stay in it. Micro, we can give it the time that it needs, stick with it long enough for it to generate the result that we want. And even to do, I mean, it's funny, I was speaking at an event yesterday, and I was talking about we want to build our business for the macro, right? We want to build it around us, build it around what we want to do and how we want to serve people. And then if the big picture is being covered, then it makes it so much easier on the days where like the stuff on my to-do list, like for tomorrow morning, is just not really exciting to me. It's just not. But it's the shit that needs to get done. And yeah, there's days where I just don't really want to, but it's not such a strong don't wanna as maybe something else if I didn't want what was on the other side of it. When I was in corporate, I realized, like, I looked at my boss and my boss's boss, and I was like, oh, this is actually as far up the ladder as I really want to be. I don't really want your job. That doesn't sound fun to me. And so it started to make everything else harder, because I was like, what am I even working towards here, right? And so if we want macro, if we want the result, right? My client who wanted the group program, that's what she wanted. And so on the days where it was like, I just have to write another piece of content to promote this, it wasn't so hard, because she knew that the micro action that she was taking in the moment was going to macro get her what she wanted, get her what she wanted. And so that just makes it a lot easier. But again, I do think one of the mindset reasons that we get tripped up here is because it starts to feel boring, or we just feel like we've already done it. And so I think, and then I want to, there's like a second layer to that, which is most of us heart-centered entrepreneurs built on a service that we want to do in and out, day in and day out. We want to do the delivery. Like, I personally love business and I love marketing and I love sales and I love the strategy and I love putting offers together. But I don't want to do that all the time. I became an entrepreneur because I really wanted to be a coach, right? What I want to do all day, every day is sit down with my clients one-on-one and have calls. That's what I want to do. I want to coach. I'm a coach. I got into business to be a coach. And so I think when we have phases in the business where we are doing more marketing than delivery, or more marketing, or just more marketing than we want to, or more strategy, more in the business than working on the business than in the business, right? When that percentage of our time shifts past how we want to be, then it starts to feel clunky, right? It doesn't feel good. And so I think one of the other things to recognize in that time of like, I'm bored, or like, this isn't how I want to spend my time, blah, 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 right? Until it works. I think one of the things that I'm always working with clients around that is what is coming up so that you can stay in it, because you already decided macro, this is what you want. And so how can we just soothe ourselves and give ourselves what we need, and also recognize that most new things take time, but that's a temporary phase, that it will not always be like this. So kind of back to like, are we evaluating after 90 days how we feel about stuff? The other thing I always think about is like, how do I feel about it knowing that it's going to get easier to execute? How do I feel about it knowing that it's not going to take me so much time and energy to execute going forward, because now I've got the whatever built, whatever the thing is. This is tracking. Let me know. Okay, so we talked about the concept of time when you're in it, which is off, versus you versus your clients. We talked about getting bored, or just like, that just starts to be less interesting than like the excitement of the idea. And we talked about the beginning stage of anything is harder. The other thing I want to say, and I think this is actually the biggest one, is the mindset. I talked about this a little bit earlier. The 90-day rule is not do or die, right? It's not 90 days to see if it works. And certainly not 90 days to see if it works exactly the way I want it, right? Like, yes, you can create, I just want to be really clear, you can create results very quickly. I had somebody come cold traffic into my world in June, and she signed up to work with me within 1 week of dropping into my funnel. So absolutely, like as an example, you can make, and I have a high ticket offer, right? Which is usually a longer sales cycle. So you can absolutely have results quickly. And also we have to understand what those results mean. Like if you have a high ticket offer, like for example, when I run those ads to a free masterclass, yes, they might convert right away, but that's not actually what I'm asking the ads to do. I'm just asking them to bring new people into my world, right? That's a traffic funnel, right? Then I have other vehicles and ways here, and LinkedIn, and other free events where I nurture my people, email, all the things to convert them. And so we want to make sure that we're asking the funnel to do what it needs to do, not asking it to do 40 things. But if we go back to that mindset of like 90 days to see if it's working, or anything, right? A lot of times people will say 2 weeks to see if it's working, and then fuck it, I'm out, I'm going to do something else. The hardest thing I think in business, I'm deciding if I agree with myself. Yes, I think it was definitely one of the hardest things in business, is waiting for something to create a data point or a result. So early on in your business, when you're first starting out, I think that phase is the hardest, because it's all ramp up, right? It's all build. It's all start from scratch. It's all new stuff. And it takes time to create enough sales, right? Back to that percentage of time. How much time are you spending marketing versus how much time are you spending in delivery? In the beginning, it's like all marketing, right? And then ideally you get to a point where you have a nice balance between delivery and enough marketing efforts to keep the marketing machine going. And so that space in between is really hard. Similarly, anytime you do something new or you start this new 90-day cycle, right? And again, this 90-day cycle is something that you get to use for the rest of your business. I'm always thinking of things from a 90-day perspective. And anytime I do anything, if I just want to tweak anything, it's like, okay, let's do this and then check out the data and see how we feel in 90 days, even a tiny little thing. And so it's always with you. But I think that phase of the first 90 days of something is one of the hardest for several reasons. One, it's discomfort. We don't want to sit in the discomfort. Like, let's be honest, like our brains are not wired for that. Our brains are wired to keep us safe, right? And so it doesn't feel good. It just doesn't feel good. Like, let's just be honest. And this is where, if you have a coach, if you need a coach, like please, please, please lean in on your coach in those timeframes, especially. That's one of the places where I am always encouraging my clients to bring to me, not just, did you do the thing, but like, if you didn't do the thing, can we talk about why? Not because something's wrong with you, but because the whole point here is for you to have support in this hard season. It's not just to know what to do. That's really only, 30% of the issue. It's only 30% of business, I think, is like knowing what to do. When you don't know what to do, it feels bigger, but knowing what to do and then being able to do it and execute and manage the mindset pieces that come up on, talking to a difficult client or having a sales call, dealing with the sales objection, what have you, like the harder stuff is more mindset focused, in my opinion. But we don't want to sit in that discomfort. And our brains want to be like, why would I do this if it's not working, right? And that's where I think that those phases in business, and again, it could be like big picture if you're building, or like micro as you go throughout your career, through your entrepreneurial journey. I think that phase of like starting something with no evidence that it's going to work yet. The only thing you have in that moment is, one, evidence from other people. That's one of the things I'm often telling my clients is like, I can't promise you when it's going to work, but this is going to work for you. We're just going to work it until it works. We're just going to stay in it until it works. We're just going to stay in it until we get the next iteration, the next sale. And then we're going to check out that data and take the next iteration and refine from there, right? That's the hard part, is like sitting in that with no evidence that it's going to work. And you're like, really? Am I just what? And I go back to the plant metaphor all the time, right? When you plant a seed, you're doing that expectantly. And I really want to invite you to take this like expectant mindset to your business. I plant a seed. I expect that seed to sprout and to create a plant, right? I just expect that. Now, there's that time period before that first little sprouty thing comes out of the ground where all I'm doing is like watering dirt, right? I always think about like, what would aliens do if they hovered in around my life and they came in from that perspective, like what would they think? Like, I always think, if I'm watering a plant, if I'm watering dirt out in my yard, an alien is like, what is this lady doing? Right? Like, she's just watering dirt. Like, why this one little spot, right? Like, why? I see nothing here. But if we water our plant or our business or our strategy or our new offer or our new platform, if we water it expectantly and we give it what it needs, is it planted in the right place to get enough sun? Does it have water at the right level? Maybe we need to adjust like fertilizer and whatever else. I'm actually not a very good gardener, but like maybe we need to adjust other things in the soil or whatever to give it the best opportunity. But really, our job is just to give it like food and water and let it do its thing. And so your job in your business is to give it the food and water and let it do its thing, and to sit expectantly in the discomfort. And again, when you're in that phase, that is the best time to reach out for support or lean into the support that you already have. But again, if you're having trouble in your business, right? I think this strategy of sticking with it long enough and giving it the time that it needs also really helps with one more mindset piece, which is we just want to blame ourselves when it doesn't work quickly. And whatever quickly means, I also think we don't understand what most of the time what it really takes in terms of time or energy or effort to generate a result on something new. And when we don't give it the time, then we just blame ourselves. So can you imagine if back again to my plant, if I'm out there watering my plant, watering my dirt because it's not a plant yet, and then I just decide like, well, if this isn't working, why am I even doing this? Or, right? Hold on, lost my train of thought. Oh my gosh, hold on. It's not working. Oh my gosh, come on, man. I hate when this happens. Okay, it'll come back. I'm watering my plant. I'm sitting there telling myself that I'm not watering my plant correctly, right? When maybe I'm doing exactly what my plant needs, right? And so then we mess with it, right? I was talking to a client about this last week. She was running ads and then she was going in every day and tweaking stuff in the tech, and it just that just messes up your data, right? Now we don't know what the data is telling us because she changed it every 2 or 3 days. We really needed a few weeks of data. We really, ideally, if you're running ads, you want to have like 100 leads coming in just so that you have enough data to like see have enough data to say, okay, what is the data telling us? And she just kept messing with it. And so we talked that through. And what the reason she was doing it is because she was blaming herself. Oh, that didn't work there yesterday, so I'm just going to change it there. And that might have been the right thing, but we just needed more data before she made that decision. And then there was a little bit of other mindset scarcity stuff coming up, which I'll keep private. But I think the point there is we can do all the right things. And when something doesn't sprout as quickly as we think it should, which really is usually based on no reality, it's usually just based on how we feel in the moment, then we start to blame ourselves and make ourselves wrong. And then that creates not only an unenjoyable experience in business, but it also generally creates other actions that don't serve us, like messing with stuff, right? Like then I might overwater or underwater my plant or whatever. So I really just want to share those mindset pieces. This is so much the type of thing that I help my clients with, because it really is like, these are the harder moments, and hard, I mean, mentally, hard on the person, hard emotionally to stay in something. And again, please don't hear me. Like, please don't beat your head against the wall and do something for 2 years without looking at the data, without iterating with the industry, your industry, like without paying attention to the market. Like, yes, I don't mean do something in a vacuum and like never change. But similarly, if we do make a change or even a tiny tweak, we really have to give it space, right? Like poor little plant that's just like trying to sprout its roots and stuff, and we're just like messing with it, right? It's like, man, just give me the food and water and like, hold on, let me do my thing, right? So I want to encourage you to think about it from that perspective. And then just let me check my notes. Let me know if you have questions. Let me know if this is resonating. And also, I think a couple of you joined, or at least one of you joined after I said this. If you're here and you would like to, if you're here live, if you want, you can enter yourself to win a free mini coaching session. So if you'd like to do that, just say, enter me in the chat, and I will hit you up in the DMs, and we'll draw the names later today or tomorrow. Okay, I wanted to share one more thing for a couple more minutes, and then I will wrap up. And that is just a little bit back to strategy. So if we're doing something for more or less 90 days, where I want you to sort of approach it from at that point is, great, now we have data to start to understand what's next. What is the data telling you? And again, I could do a whole nother, maybe I will do another live on just how to look at the data in your business. But I think that's the really next space to be. Okay, if you're enjoying it, right? If you're enjoying it, or you're enjoying it enough, or it's getting you what you want, or it's on the way to getting you what you want, great. the mindset to take is, this is the thing I wanted to say and I didn't say it. The mindset that I encourage you to take is, how can I make this work? Or I'm just going to do this until it works. I'm just going to stay in it until it works. I'm just going to stay in it until it works. Instead of the mindset that our brains want to tell us, which is, this isn't working. Or how do I know if this is going to work, right? Because then if you're in a question mark phase, then without I always like to think about being a scientist. We want to experiment properly, right? Fine. But we don't want to go in with I don't know if this is going to work. Let me see. That's a totally different mindset, right? Because if I'm, again, back to the plant, if I don't know if this thing is going to grow, what incentive do I have then to water it every 3 days or however long I'm supposed to? What incentive do I have if I don't even believe that it's going to work, or I'm not? It's almost like, prove it to me, plant, that you're going to work, and then I'll believe you. No, we need to believe it so that our brains will go find the opportunities and the actions and take the actions that we need to do it. This is why I have a background in psychology, and I have a background in psychology and counseling and crisis counseling and mindset. And then I also have a background in business and strategy and consulting. And so that's why I look at business from both angles, because I just think that the two, one cannot separate. And today's topic is such a great example. So again, then we start to take if we take that mindset that it's going to work and we're just going to work on it until it works, then we can see, then we're just it's just a lot easier to take the action. And then of course we can always, I want to give all of my entrepreneurial, creative, big thinkers, like to shift and change when shit doesn't work, or when it's not working for you, it doesn't fulfill you. I want you to feel completely free to change it. Please don't hear this conversation as you have to take something and stick with it for hundreds of years. Full permission to make a change. But then when you do make a change, you get to do it based on real data, right? I don't even care if it's going to work. I didn't like it. Okay, great. That's what you need to know. So now you've made a really informed decision. You will never go back and wonder if that was the right decision. You will just know, and you'll move on with real data to support that decision. And that is where I think we can just make business so much easier on ourselves. So after 90 days, what is the data telling you? And most likely the data is going to tell you, even if it's working great, what part of it is working the best, and how can I double down on that, right? If you're spraying and praying on 4 platforms and you're realizing that everything's coming from Instagram, or most of the things are coming from Substack, great. How can you take 1 or 2 platforms off the plate and double down on the others, on the ones that are working, right? So even if it's working and generating sales, there's always something the data is going to tell you. And then similarly, if the data is telling you people seem to get it like this, but they don't seem to get this piece, that's where then you just know what your action is to take. And that's why I love data so much, because when we use it, it takes the mystery out of business. It takes yes, we cannot control other people, but it brings us a lot more control back into the space of the CEO. And I think that's just really helpful and empowering. And then the final piece, I mentioned this earlier, but I just want to say one more strategy piece, which is be very clear on what you're asking. What's the strategic purpose of what it is that you're doing? So if you have a brand new offer, if you have a new strategy, if you're doing something new, what is the strategic purpose, right? So as I was saying for my ads, I'm not asking my ads to convert. I'm happy if they do and when they do, and that's great, like the lady that converted in 1 week. But the purpose of me running ads is just top of funnel, right? It's just to bring in cold traffic. And then I have other things that I do to nurture and convert those leads, and they can come into my ecosystem and function there. And so I'm not going to evaluate my ads based on how many leads based on how many sales I make in a week, right? That example is just a bonus of it does happen and it will happen, but that's not the purpose, right? If I was selling a low ticket, $10, $27, $50, $99 item, then yeah, I would want to make sure that the sales, the ads were working from the whole element of the funnel to the end of a sale, right? Because I offer high ticket, and that's just not something that like people need generally longer sales cycles. And so again, what's the strategic purpose? What are you really trying to accomplish with this thing that you're putting out? And that's also really important, so that when you have that 90-day data, you know what you're evaluating, right? So I'm not going to evaluate my ads based only on the sales that I make. I'm evaluating it based on the leads and how qualified those leads are, and then how engaged those leads are going forward, right? The rest of my funnel is working from that perspective, from the other perspective. And so it's not what I'm asking my ads to do. And I have a one-on-one model, and that's really different and unique. Not everybody has a one-on-one model. If you're running ads for the purpose of sales, that's great. You just need to know why you're doing it. And that way, when you look at the data, you're asking the data to get you the thing that you want, the strategic purpose, not all the other stuff. And I just think that's really important. Okay, one quick example, and then I will let you go. And that is, I think this mindset that I'm taking with Substack can be really helpful and really applies to everything we've talked about here. So for many reasons, which I will probably share in a live at some point, I wanted to come onto Substack and start using it. And so what I'm doing is I'm going all in for 90 days. Now, I'm not going all in for 90 days to see if it works. And right, but I am giving it a test. So I'm 100% sure that this is going to work for me, because I've just decided, just to be clear, like, I think that's just really important. I've just taken that mindset. I know this will work for me. I did enough research to know that this is a good aligned platform for me. I want to see how I feel about it. And I want to see what kinds of content I want to put here. And I know generally what I want to do, and I have a plan. And also I want to see what resonates with you all. And then I will iterate and refine from there. And so I am going all in for these 90 days. And then at 90 days, if for some reason I don't like it, yes, I will give myself total permission to make a change. That is always the case. And I think it's really important to say that. You can always change your mind. All the time. You're the boss. That's the beauty of running your own business. But really what I'm doing is I'm going all in for 90 days, and then I will have to make adjustments because I have other platforms that I've been dealing with, right? Like other platforms, like LinkedIn has been my priority until now. Now this is my priority for 90 days. And then I will adjust because I only have so much time. I've got to serve my clients, right? I have other things to do. And so I will adjust more back end in terms of how I put content out, where I put it out, how I manage my time on that, versus do or die, is this going to work for me? Like, I don't have a number of subscribers that I need to have by 90 days. That's not the point. The point is I want to start something here, and I'm going to give it 90 days, and then I will start to iterate from there. And then I will have enough data to make good decisions about which way to iterate. And I will also have really good data for me in terms of how I like to do things, how it feels for me, the kinds of people I'm meeting, what I want to say to them, how I want to engage with them, how I want to put content out, and what works best for my business. And so it just gives me all that data. And so I want to help offer that as an example. Okay, I'm going to let you go. I will be back here live next week, same time, same place, for another topic. If you are looking for a coach, I'm always looking for my next client. I will drop a link in the chat here to book a free discovery call. It's no pressure. It's literally like, tell me what's going on in your business. I've had people tell me they would pay for these calls. It's really an opportunity for us to see what's going on in your business, if I can help, what might be the best starting place, and then we can see if we're a good fit for working together. I think that chemistry and fit and how we interact and operate is just as important as anything else. And so I'm always open to those conversations, no matter which way they go. So if you're interested and you're looking for a coach, everything I do is one-on-one, customized to you. Book a free call. And again, I will be back here. I will be on Substack. Please engage with me. My first article is coming out soon, and we'll be live again next week this time. Thanks for being here. Thanks so much.